Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today we're covering the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. No updates on these stories, they're just ones that we miss because they don't have updates because we usually cover stories with updates. Our first one comes from Friedzilla72, get this title, from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit of course, saying, am I the arsehole for forcing my in-laws to use a toilet instead of piss jugs in my home? My in-laws are visiting my wife and I this week. The trip was short notice, so they'll be staying at our home. Our guest bedroom that they'll be staying in is in the basement of our house. It's spacious, clean, and dry. The only issue is that it does not have a bathroom associated with it. You have to walk up the basement stairs and halfway across the house to get to our guest bathroom. Before arriving, my in-laws were complaining that it was too far of a walk to get to the bathroom from the basement. We're offering them free lodging, so I figured they would just have to deal with it. However, yesterday we got an unexpected Amazon package. My wife opened it and pulled out a strange plastic container. I joked that it looked like one of those medical device piss jugs. The joke was on me, because it was exactly that. My in-laws had ordered a device for them to urinate into instead of going to the bathroom upstairs. I told my wife absolutely not, and they had to use the toilet. My in-laws are very healthy and able-bodied people, and there is zero reason other than laziness for them to use a device like this. My in-laws arrived later yesterday night and we confronted them about their plan to piss in the jug. They joked about the device and asked what else were they supposed to do? Use a litter box? No, go upstairs and use a goddamn toilet. Now they're complaining about having to go all the way upstairs, and I'm pretty sure they are secretly using the piss jug. I'm going to flip if I find out they're using it down there. Am I the arsehole for asking them to use a toilet like a normal human being? Edit. Since a lot of people are asking, no, they do not have health issues. They are very fit and healthy. We have an open enough relationship that they would tell us if they did. We also offered for them to stay upstairs, but the rooms upstairs are more cramped and not as spacious. They opted to stay in the basement room. Look, you've already confirmed this for me that this isn't like a mobility issue or something along those lines, so asking someone to actually use the toilet is extremely reasonable in this situation. I mean, the fact in itself that they pre-ordered this piss jug to your address without asking is, I found quite just wild in itself, to be quite honest. And I can't help but think about the logistics of this situation. So they're in this room, peeing into this jug, that somehow they got to take it somewhere to dispose of it. So they're going to be carrying it through your house. And after listening to myself back editing this as well, I thought, maybe is there something else going on? Maybe they just something they didn't want to raise with you guys, etc, etc. Maybe there is more to it as well, just to be fair. Commenter says, not the arsehole. This isn't even a discussion. They can use a toilet or get out of your house. Witty replies saying, you do not order a piss bucket and have it delivered to your host's home. I mean, I would have thought that's just basic etiquette. Celtic Musebook says, and to up the cringe factor. There's no sink in the basement, so they aren't washing their hands after using the jug. You should have hidden the jug and told them they can have it when they check out. Another commenter says, okay, I have one possible thing to say that might be in their defense. Sometimes older people have weak bladders and have to go to the bathroom many times at night. Every couple of hours is possible. Therefore, it is difficult to sleep if you have to fully waken in order to get to a bathroom. Up the stairs and hallway across the house is a really long way to go if you have a weak bladder. If you don't wake up soon enough, it might even be difficult to get to the bathroom without an accident. Healthy people can have weak bladders. Would you rather they use the piss jug or risk an accident? Someone was questioning about their health, etc., and Opie replied saying no, they are very healthy and in their 60s. They love to exercise. We go on regular hikes and other strenuous activities with them. They themselves have admitted that they can easily make the trip upstairs. They just don't want to. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. How would you feel about this situation? Would it bother you? Would it not? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Blanche, who says, am I the arsehole here for considering going to an NFL football game on Christmas Day? I'm getting mixed reactions from people in my life, but would love to know if I'm just plain wrong for considering this. I, 34 female, am a die-hard, like the star is tattooed on me, Dallas Cowboys fan. Yes, please drag me. I need Jerry to go somewhere, but I love this team for life. My best friend's family gets suites at FedEx Field every other season, but because they think they are good now, and they've been buying them more frequent. My husband doesn't have a team and follows players instead, but does enjoy and watches with me due to my passion for the game. Last year I was invited to join my friend and his family for a game in the suite, but instead gave the spot to my husband. He had never been to a game before, and I wanted to experience this, especially in a suite. He had a wonderful time and thanked me profusely for letting him go. I was happy to give this to him and spent the day at home with the kiddos. Fast forward to now. My best friend got married and made me his best woman. His gift to me as a thank you for everything is sweet tickets to Dallas versus that team on Christmas Day. I immediately asked my husband, and to my surprise, he got upset, like full on said, "How could you consider going? This is a family day and I would never do this." I tried to compromise and bring up our current Christmas traditions. My mum's side of the family is from Eastern Europe, and we typically celebrate on Christmas Eve. I told my husband that we can celebrate on Christmas Eve and would still do the morning wake up with the kids, 8, 7, and 2.5, with breakfast and opening presents. I also told him that normally the kids are playing with their toys after the initial wake up and will be zoned out the rest of the day. Plus, my daughters would spend the afternoon with their mum to see her side of the family. He told me do whatever the hell I want and walked away from me. I chatted with my parents and they are 50-50 on it, but understand my desire to go because this isn't an opportunity that comes around often, if at all. So, am I the arsehole here? ETA, we were both offered the tickets, and when he saw the date he said, "Thanks, but no, it's Christmas Day." So, the first commenter on this one says you have 3 kids. Christmas absolutely is about family and your children at that age. Huge football fan over here, and mum, but you're the arsehole. Stunning says you're the arsehole, only because you have kids and are therefore responsible for making Christmas and Christmas Eve for them. Christmas isn't about you anymore, or any of the adults. You are the magic of Christmas. I'm not on board with how adults act like bratty, snotty kids around Christmas. It's my biggest pet peeve. Adults are old enough to make their own food and buy their own things and not rely on holidays forcing them to see people. If they want to see people, they will make it happen through the year. Kids don't get that control over their lives or time. You're responsible for making it happen along with your husband. Your kids will remember the year you were not there, all because of sports. I actually changed my answer when I saw you have kids. I would have gone not the arsehole because adults acting like Christmas is the end of the world is the worst. But that's not your situation. Who Fears Death says, not the arsehole. For heaven's sake, just do Christmas on the day before or after. It's a calendar, not a law book. The day won't be less magical for them or create any fewer memories if it's held 12/26, as noted by OP's own family's traditions. Another commenter says, I do not understand why everyone is saying you're the arsehole. Definitely not the arsehole. You're allowed to have an experience and enjoy yourself, and your family should be supportive. Just because it's on Christmas doesn't make it any more different, especially if you're planning to celebrate it on Christmas Eve. No idea how old your kids are, but I highly doubt they care once they get their presents and you're gone for one day. Not sure why you're getting dragged over this. And I was looking through the comments and someone was chucking around numbers of $10,000 to $35,000 for these sweet tickets. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. This is just what one of the commenters said. I'm pretty clueless about the NFL. But with this story in particular, I was just impressed with how spread the verdicts were. Whilst the final verdict on this post was arsehole, it still said it was 51% not the arsehole, whilst the others were spread across that did make the final verdict as arsehole. And if I'm being completely honest, I was a bit conflicted about it because of the kids, of course, but I think it very much depends on your own family and how they would deal with it. You know your kids, etc. If they're going to be really hurt by you not being there on Christmas Day, then, I think you have to judge it by that. If you don't think they would mind, then absolutely go for that opportunity. But what would you do in that situation? How would that affect your family if you did do this? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Alternative Line 7464 and says, "Am I the arsehole for driving against the arrow in my parking garage? I was coming home from work one evening. I go in to park in my apartment's parking garage. It's a very quiet, flat, one-story garage, and there aren't a lot of people at all. Now, there are arrows on the ground that take you all the way around, but it's quicker and easier to go against the arrows and park. The lanes are wide with ample room for two people to pass each other, and occasionally this does happen. I figured it's understood, no one cares. But anyway, I'm coming home from work and I drive in against the arrow like I always do. Then there's a couple with a kid that starts crossing in front of me. I see them and stop short while the parents see me and they stop too. Then they wave me to keep driving. I thought that was the end of that. But I get out the car and this woman comes up to me and starts going off about how you have to follow the arrows, and that's why you almost hit my husband and child. I feel like she made it way more dramatic than it was, and she was so rude about it. And that nobody should have to follow the arrows in this quiet parking garage just because they are there, when there's plenty of room for those rare occurrences when two people go at the same time anyway." I think this is a very quick and easy one to wrap up, as those arrows are there for a reason, therefore you're in the wrong. And I don't think there's any other way around that. You know, you was going the wrong way, you should have just simply apologized, moved on, don't do it again. Simple as. At least Key says to OP, "You're the arsehole." People don't look both ways on one-way type situations, specifically because it's assumed everyone else will follow the rules. Is the moment or two you save worth the headache? Really? OP says, "I can understand that. This garage differs from a standard one-way in that people regularly drive against the arrow, so I assume the expectation isn't there. I think almost everyone who parks in my section does the same. I appreciate your perspective regardless." And one more commenter who says, "You're the arsehole," saying, "I drove the wrong way down a one-way street and got shouted at. Should be the title. I'm one of those people who look both ways on a one-way street or car park because of that. Just drive round. On the flip side, if you were reversing out of your parking space and only looked the way you'd expect traffic to come at you, the way the arrow is pointing, but then got hit by someone just like you going the wrong way, who would you blame?" And whilst the majority of people on this one were saying, "You're the arsehole, you know, just follow the arrows," kind of thing, there was a couple of comments, you know, just saying people should use more common sense, etc. But what do you guys make of that one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from Disastrous Good 3060 and says, "Am I the arsehole for calling my stepson an ungrateful brat? My 40 male wife Serena, 42 female, got divorced from her first husband just about 3 years ago over her having an affair. I met her about a year and a half in. She has a boy and 2 girls, and we have a son together, and I have a son with my ex-wife. Her oldest stepson, Brian, 16 male, try as I might, he completely hates me for some reason. His sisters like me just fine, and he's loving towards his half-brother, and he's even cordial to my son. His boyfriend and friends even like me just fine, and his dad is mostly friendly with me. Me though, he'll barely say 3 words to, or I get aggressive, what do you want, and I don't want you here's. Sometimes he's even outright rude to me for no particular reason. He is a total daddy's boy, and would probably spend every waking moment with his dad if he could, and will constantly tell me I'm not his dad. I tried to bond with him over stuff he likes, and it's go away. I tried to go to all his wrestling meets, baseball games, plays, and all I get is, "Why are you here? I only wanted my dad to come." I tried to watch games with him, even tried to make it a boys' night with some grilling and that, and he just runs off with his dad to watch the game with him. So he turned 16 last week, and I'm the one that plans his whole birthday party on Saturday, and I make sure it's something he'd want, and I get him stuff I knew he'd like. I was running late Saturday because I got stuck with a work thing, but I hear how much fun he's having. I rush there when I get done and I tell him happy birthday and all that. He just asks me why I'm there and again just gives me the cold shoulder. I'm sorry, but that cracked me and I asked what his problem was. He actually yells at me that I'm not his dad and that I could never replace him. I yelled back at him that I'm not trying to, and I shouldn't have to put up with this from such an ungrateful brat. He just storms off somewhere and everyone is just looking at me crazy. Later his mum says she gets it, but I shouldn't have went off on him like that during the party. Am I the arsehole? Just the Bean says to OP, you're the arsehole. Number 1, you've known this kid for 18 months and you're already married to his mother. This all happened at warp speed during his teenage years when things are already a lot. You need to calm down and back off. 2, you are the adult. You don't get to lose your shit and start shouting at a kid and calling him names. It is your responsibility to manage your emotions and make an effort to have a productive conversation. There was nothing productive about that. 3, it was his fucking birthday party in front of all of his friends. Yeah, and that comment pretty much said it all, didn't it? Especially with that timeline that Brian's still dealing with the fallout of his mum's affair that destroyed his family. Even if OP wasn't the affair partner, he's still the new husband who is shown up really quickly, meeting her 1.5 years after the divorce and then married really quickly to a teenager who's still processing all of that. I can only imagine that for Brian this still represents the air quotes new life that replaced his family. But it's something that we see in a lot of these step-parent stories that OP is trying to force this relationship that Brian doesn't want. Ignoring that Brian's boundaries, even if they are invisible, you can still tell when you're wanted or not. And then blowing up at him for having those boundaries. And then on top of all this, calling a 16-year-old an ungrateful brat at his own birthday party for trying to deal with all this. Come on, man, I can't see you not being the arsehole in this situation. Another commenter was pointing out the timeline. Happy Banana says in 3 years he's seen his parents divorce, become aware that his mother had an affair which caused the divorce, got a new stepdad, got a new stepbrother, got a new half-brother. That's a lot for a teenager. You need to listen and respect boundaries. You can't push a relationship. You need to give him space, be there for him, and reassure him that you're not trying to replace his father. From his perspective, his mother ripped his family apart, and now he's stuck with her and the next man she's going to cheat on. And one more comment who says, you know why your stepson doesn't like you. He's 16, he loves his dad, and you're the physical representation of his dad not being at home anymore, and he doesn't want that. Obviously. He was just going into teenhood when his parents divorced. 18 months later, you turned up, and now there's another child too. He's not going to like you immediately. He may never like you, or he may emerge from his difficult teenage years and learn to appreciate you. It's not ideal, but you're an adult and he's a kid. You don't get to yell at him and embarrass him in public on his birthday, no matter how bruised your ego is. You're the arsehole. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's have another story. Ooh, cheeky another bit of neighbor drama right here from Turbulent, who says, am I the arsehole for parking wherever a spot is open in my complex, even after my neighbor confronted me? So I moved about 3 months ago and everything has been great until this past week. It's a little townhome community where there is this parking lot in the middle, surrounded by 4 wide townhome buildings with one entrance and exit road and one side not lined with homes. When moving, I specifically asked about parking because my household would have 3 cars. We were told that there were way more spots than townhomes, no limits on cars and no assigned spots. Since moving in, my household has rotated parking spots to whenever one is open. Sometimes there's one right at our door, sometimes all the way across the lot, or sometimes in one of the side spaces behind other buildings in the complex. With the way the parking lot is set up, there is not a situation where each unit has space right at their door. There are multiple units that don't have a spot in front because they are on the corners. Just this past week, one of the neighbors pulled up along, honking after dark. And when I went to look out the window, started yelling at me for parking in the spots at the back of my unit. I kept my voice at normal volume and explained there's no assigned parking and I park wherever a spot is open. Even far in the back sometimes, and she continued to yell. From what I gathered, she was mad that my wife's car was parked next to mine because we were taking up all the close spaces and parked there all the time. I'll admit the cars hadn't moved over the weekend because one is my work truck. But as I said, we constantly park wherever there is an open space. I closed my door and did not move a car for her. I brushed off that encounter after talking to other neighbors and hearing she is constantly trying to direct neighbors into other parking spots, even before I moved in. But another encounter happened today. This time it was different neighbors from the farther perpendicular building. I'd parked on that road because there were no spots in front of my building, like multiple times before. A couple I had never seen before came and knocked on my door, told me I parked in the spot on their lease and confirmed it was my car by saying the make and model. I explained I was told there was no assigned spots when I moved in, and the couple mentioned the confrontation I had with their neighbor. I was confused because they are multiple units apart about parking before. I moved my car for them because they were actually calm and semi-polite, but I am annoyed. I guess I just want outside opinions if I am the arsehole or if the first neighbor is. Am I wrong for parking 2 cars in front of my unit? Am I wrong for parking behind someone else's unit? Where else do I park? Ask away with clarification below. I really paraphrased. Absolutely not, and you just stick to the original rules that you were told to begin with, which was no assigned spots, park where it's open. I've seen a situation like this where I used to live when I was younger, and there was a car park out front, and people were claiming spots without any official backing or anything like that, and it just turns into a chaotic mess because when you get new people moving in, then they're playing an impossible game of, invisible parking politics, because nobody wins that in the end. They park in a space and they get moved on because someone's claimed that space, and it just carries on and on. The second couple claiming to say it's on their lease potentially changes things if that's actually true, or were they just trying to fob you off to get you to move? But surely if that's the case, there should be a marking on that space of this space belongs to number, 21 or whatever it is. But until then, you absolutely just need to stick to your guns on this, in my opinion. The top commenter on this one said, not the arsehole. They don't own the parking lot, nor any particular spaces. If you wanted to be a really good neighbor, you could park on the side without any hometowns if you won't be moving the vehicle for a while. But your neighbor should kick rocks or move somewhere with assigned parking. Another commenter says, not the arsehole. You should really be asking your apartment manager about this, not us. I'll do it ASAP because this sounds like a situation which is going to escalate quickly unless you can stop it. Also, it might be nice for you to just park your own car at home instead of also using up another space with your work truck. Maybe not a biggie, just to be a little more considerate. And another commenter says, everyone sucks here. All 3 of your vehicles shouldn't be in premium parking spots. 1 or 2 is okay, but park the 3rd somewhere further away. And there was a couple of other comments similar to that as well, but what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, sharing your comments too. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.